we're going to do cones. Cones are kind of a little bit trickier. You can do a cone that is not straight up and down, where the point is kind of over like this. And as long as you have a round base, it still looks like a cone even though it's crooked. But if you want to do a cone that's not crooked, here is the steps that I usually take to do it. I will start with my base, and this is just for accuracy. If you are sketching and you're trying to throw one together really quick, you don't have to do it this way. The second thing I do is find the center of this and find the center point. And then I draw a line that goes straight up from the center as vertical, parallel with the side of the page as possible, as perpendicular to the bottom of the page as possible, and then figure out how tall I want my cone. If I want it to be here, then I go from here to here. If I want it to be shorter, that's fine too. Whatever kind of cone you want, this is the method that I use to create a cone that looks accurate and stable, and then you can erase all the little parts that you use to get to that point, and you've got a nice cone. And I'm going to use that method to make a whole bunch of cones, and some of them are going to be perfectly centered like that, and some are not. So as I have stated before, the object here is to practice. So the first step is to draw 50 cones. You are trying to improve your skills, so the more you draw, the better. You do not even have to stop with 50. I'm just trying to do the best I can to get 50 cones on this page, and I'm going to try them different directions, different ways, different sizes. I kind of forgot that I wanted to be a little bit more creative with this, and so initially I did all of the cones the way I had taught you in the introduction to this video, where you try to make them straight up with one another, or straight, the point straight above the middle. But as I was going, I think I finally remembered that I wanted to do some that were a little bit weirder, maybe kind of curved or angled at least. And I just continued to add and add and add. Remember, the name of the game is practice. And it doesn't hurt to come back to this, 10 years from now and do it again to hone your skills. I am 50 years old. I've been drawing for a long time, and I'm not too bad at drawing. And so here I am doing it again, and not just to teach you how to do it, but to hone my skills and to practice and to learn new things and to keep fresh as much as possible. By the way, notice that if you can see the entire oval of the cone, it looks as though you're looking up at the bottom of the cone. But if you erase the line that's in the back or in the middle of the cone, then it's more like you cannot see the bottom of the cone. You're looking sort of down at it. So that oval shape makes a big difference in your drawing. And it looks as though I've made most of these where you can see the bottom. I've left the bottom showing. There we go. I erased it there. Here's where I've started making them a little bit stranger in shape in order to get them to fit in better. Cones were kind of fun to do because they do just kind of fit in between each other like puzzle pieces. After you have done this, you're going to lightly erase. But I forgot, and I erased prematurely, What I really wanted to do was add a bunch of these holes into the cones, make the cones a little bit more interesting by adding three-dimensional holes, gaps, slices taken out of them, whatever you want to call it. To do that, it's a little bit complex. You've got to kind of understand the cone, and you have to understand what it would be like if the cone had sort of a thickness to it, like I just drew there. And then you have to make you don't have to do this, but if you want the slice to look like it is taken out kind of geometrically with the shape, then some of the lines kind of need to be parallel with the bottom edge of the cone, or the shape of the cone itself, sort of the sides of the cone. Please don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Helps me out a lot in making these videos. Encourages me to make more. Remember, if you cut a hole in the front of the cone, then you will be able to see the back of the cone in some ways and in some places. Once you get all of the slices cut out, all of the holes put in, you're going to trace it with artist pen. I originally was going to trace it with the Micron Pigma artist pen, but it was kind of running low on ink, so I'm using this Sharpie. Don't forget to lightly erase the pencil. You will still want to be able to see it, but you don't want the graphite to mess up the Sharpie pen, so lightly erase. Step 4, and I am doing step 4 at the same time as step 3. Step 4 is to shade in the cone. In this case, because I'm using an artist pen, a Sharpie pen, I am using hatching and cross hatching to shade it in. This also requires a little bit of understanding of how light hits something. So just to briefly explain that, I tried to imagine the light coming from the top right hand corner of the page, top right hand corner of all these cones. And as I was doing that, I put the shadow on the bottom left hand side, and inside the cone where less light would hit, I tried to make a little bit darker. And it kind of depended for me whether or not the cone was facing down or facing up. So if it was facing up, more light could get into the cone, and if it was facing downward, less light could get inside the cone. So there's a little bit more to this shading and understanding the cone and all of that. So you're going to have, one of the reasons why you're drawing these is so you can learn what all of the differences are, what type of things you got to look out for. And you can learn this just by doing it and looking at it and examining it. You don't need a teacher to teach you. You don't need a cheat sheet. You don't necessarily even need a reference photo, although I'm a big advocate for reference photos. If you can learn the basic method of drawing a cone, you can then start playing with other lines on the cone until you come up with things that look accurate to you. And the more you do this, and the more you try to figure it out like it's a puzzle, the better you will get at it. One of the things to consider is that everything that you draw becomes part of your drawing vocabulary. So you really need sort of a reference photo to draw anything, or the object itself to draw from, if it's the first time you've ever drawn it. If you've never drawn a car before, You know, it's kind of hard to draw a car without looking at one. Sure, you have one in your mind, but the one that's in your mind is sort of a vague, dreamlike image. And so, in order to draw more accurately, you really sort of need a reference photo. I tried to hurry this up a little bit and just gave it a little magic touch. So, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. It's your turn. Go make some art. Oh, and watch the next video. It's better than cones, cubes, and cylinders.